where does Dan Moore fall in this equation, do you, man?
Yeah,
because they're saying Troy's supposed to start week 1 if he's healthy.
We still got to see what they say on Broderick. If he legitimately is hurt, I don't think we have an option other than to start Troy and Dan Moore.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess it would depend on how long Broderick's out too. Like if it's only like a week or two.
Because Broderick is talking elbow or arm. Troy is knee.
Yeah, I think that's the first order of business.
Yeah.
Broderick, is he injured? If he's not, I think Dan Moore has earned the right to start at left tackle up to this point.
Okay.
He's been at left tackle, not only this whole time this offseason, but this whole time for the last 3 or so years.
Since coming into this league, since dating back to this time, it was at Texas A&M. He's been left.
Maybe it's different if Broderick dominated at right tackle when he was out here and isn't showing that he might be banged up a little bit. Maybe that's a different story, where you're talking about a competition between him and Dan at left, or you're just going to start Broderick at right to begin with and give him the edge because he's the guy going into his second year versus Troy going into his rookie year. Yeah, I think Dan Moore's starting at left.
Okay. Like, for me, I don't know anything. I know if I'm leaning Dan at left, and if Broderick is healthy, I'm still putting him at right because he's already had success in the NFL playing right tackle.
Yeah, I think then you just have to ask what's the deal with that report then that came out last week with Troy. The Steelers saying they're starting Troy at right tackle no matter what.
Because that's the part that I'm like doesn't add up. I'm like, how do you get to that when even in his debut, it wasn't this like, perfect, clean game. We saw him also have some negative tape out there. But they both first rounders also. And eventually you got to get your guys out there. So I get it, man. But it's going to be interesting, though, man, to just see how they divvy those guys up. And then also, is it set in stone?
No,
because you can put Broderick at left, you put Troy at right, like some people in the chat suggest, and, you can do that. But if what we have seen this year becomes more of the norm from those two guys, where we've never seen Dan Moore have tape to look like that, now I feel like we really got some craziness going on, man.
Yeah. If we're talking about trying to win the most games possible, starting off the season as strong as we can, that's the main reason why I'm leaning at Russell Wilson at quarterback. So I don't know why that reason would change for the offensive line.
Yeah.
So I think Dan Moore at left tackle probably would be the wisest play to start off with at week 1. Whenever we're playing the Falcons.
When I was going to piggyback too, because I have seen people saying, "Well, why don't you put Dan Moore at right tackle?" Because we've never seen Dan Moore play right tackle and have success at right tackle. Shoot, ever. Collegiately, he was a left the whole time. Since he's come to Pittsburgh, he's been a left the whole time. We physically saw Broderick last year, once he took over for Chooks, start at right tackle and play in multiple games, including starting a playoff game, if I remember correctly. And he played well. So that's the part where I don't really see the whole point of just saying, man, F it, put Broderick at left, put Dan at right, just do it. Like, that logic doesn't really compute for me, and I think that you set yourself up for more negativity for these quarterbacks than you need to right now, man. It's like right now you at least got one part of the line kind of situated, and we're trying to figure out this right tackle spot. By default, because of Herbig dealing with the injury, we're gonna have the rookie Frazier being out there.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, how many pieces do we want to be worrying about right now?
And then
why are you going into the season early on?
Yeah,
man?
And then for it to look like it did on Saturday night. Yeah, it's different if it wasn't as bad as it was. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm like, yo,
if it was maybe a slight hiccup here or there, but it was like pretty much the whole time the O-line was struggling.
You catch what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm all for, take Dan out if these dudes looked better than when he was looking at the exact same game. But it's like, bro, I'm looking at these plays and I'm like, okay, let me go down the list and look at each and every offensive lineman. Who got their block? Who didn't make their block? Oh, Dan made his block. Oh, Ozzy made his block. Oh,
and it's not like
Frazier made his block. Oh,
it's not like
Daniels
the
made
right
his
tackle,
block.
whoever
Yeah,
it was
bro.
last week, was
Yeah.
doing any better either against the Texans.
You catch what I'm saying? Like I
Whether it was
literally,
Troy or Broderick.
I was literally going back looking at every play. I'm like, yo, let's check it out. Let's look at the pressures. Let's look at the sacks, and let's go individual by individual. Don't give me the it's a group project, man, because he got beat up on, so everybody sucked. No. He was straight. He had a couple plays here and there, but as a whole, it's like, yo, let's not act like it was that. And that was my whole issue with the whole Pat Meyer argument, because I'm like, if I'm looking at these dudes and they're making that part, but this guy's the one that's kind of having the bad and is collapsing everything, it's like, yo, is that a whole unit or is that an individual? And that's kind of why I'm looking like, yo, if it's the elbow, man, let's work.